I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity, what they've done. Secretary of State Rubio is in Panama right now, and we're talking about the Panama Canal. What they've done is terrible. They violated the agreement. They're not allowed to violate the agreement. China's running the Panama Canal. That was not given to China. That was given to Panama foolishly. But they violated the agreement, and we're going to take it back, or something very powerful is going to happen. USAID, run by radical lunatics, and we're getting them out, and then we'll make a decision.
We have some bad news for your wallet tonight. Higher prices could be headed your way. On Saturday, President Donald Trump signed a tariff order instituting taxes of 10% on goods from China and 25% on ones from Canada and Mexico. Now, the tariffs are set to take effect on Tuesday, and Selene Arif spoke to small businesses who say this is the last thing they wanted to hear this year.
Sunday mornings and brunch go together like Yola and their Eggs Benedict.
Small, locally owned business, especially a restaurant, has very slim margins as it is. I don't think most people realize.
Brooke Woods co-owns Yola in downtown Macon and says while people might know that egg prices are skyrocketing, they might not realize how it's scrambled profit margins.
Back when we opened, eggs were around $1.50 a dozen, and currently they're close to $6.
Over the past 5 years, egg costs alone have increased by about 160%. With these new tariffs, Woods says small businesses like hers will continue to struggle.
We don't like to increase prices all the time. Even when groceries do increase, it's hard because we love our customers. We want them to continue coming back.
Now, experts say food isn't the only thing that could be affected by the tariffs. Some of your favorite alcoholic drinks and beers might also be affected soon.
People like to come down here, sit outside, and have a margarita, have a beer.
Ramon Ocio says they opened Jalapenos Cantina in downtown Macon about 5 months ago. He says if costs rise any higher, he could see some folks going out of business.
With a 30% increase on certain products, we might end up making sense on it. And in order for us to survive, we have to make a little bit more than that.
He says it's a hard time to own a business in America right now. He hopes people continue to support small businesses because as hard as tariffs might hit you, these tariffs could hit restaurants even harder.
I promise you, you will have some of the best food you can find out there on the market. When it comes to the quality of food, I never cut corners on the quality of food.
And he hopes that's reason enough to keep people coming back, even with all the uncertainty. Reporting in Macon, Selene Arif, 13W Amazing News.
Now, experts say cereals, avocados, and raw sugar could also be hit with price increases, too.
Well, North Carolinians are learning more today about President Trump's extraordinary new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, and the counter tariffs two of those nations immediately imposed as a response. There's so much to talk about. As we've been reporting, the tariffs will amount to a significant 25% duty on all imports from Mexico and most goods from Canada, and a 10% tariff on Chinese goods imported into the U.S. Many people want to know more information on how they will be impacted by all of this. Mexico's president immediately ordered retaliatory tariffs, and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he put matching 25% tariffs on up to $155 billion in U.S. imports. As WRAL's Laura Levine reports, people right here in the Triangle are bracing for the worst.
Local grocery stores have been paying more because of inflation.
We were lied to. We're going to see prices raised. I just got double the amount of coffee I normally would.
Some shoppers at the Village District in Raleigh tell me they're now bracing for even higher price tags.
I have an elderly mother that is on a fixed income. I am a single person that's on a regular income. And that does concern me.
President Trump's order puts a 10% tariff on all goods coming in from China and 25% on imports from Mexico and Canada. This drew swift retaliation and an undeniable sense of betrayal from the country's key trade partners.
I can understand perhaps with China that they want to change China's behavior in terms of fairness and manufacturing and utilizing computer chips and things like that.
Gas, fresh produce, and consumer electronics are some of the top goods the U.S. imports from these countries. Economist Mike Walden says there are estimates the overall inflation rate in the country could go up to somewhere between 3 and 4% on an annualized basis.
And I certainly understand the desire on part of the administration potentially to have more manufacturing done in the U.S. But this is sticky when you have a system right now that is giving us, in many cases, lower priced products.
Collectively, these three countries accounted for 42% of the nearly $3 trillion worth of goods the U.S. imported worldwide last year. Here in North Carolina, our auto parts producing industry would get hit especially hard.
We don't yet have an up and functioning auto assembly plant. That's what VinFast is designed to do eventually. But that would mean that those auto parts that we make, that a lot of which go to Mexico for assembly, would have a tax on it, a tariff on it.
So if 10 and 20 and 30% tariffs go on $20,000, $30,000 vehicles, that's a lot of money for an average American.
The Trump administration said tariffs are aimed at curbing the flow of drugs and undocumented immigrants into the U.S. On Sunday, Trump wrote on his social media platform, "It will all be worth the price that must be paid."
First came the tariffs, then came the retaliation over the weekend. President Trump slapped tariffs on goods from Mexico, Canada, and China. Two of those countries struck back with tariffs of their own. Now, many Americans are bracing for the financial impact, expecting rising costs on many goods, including food. Some nonprofit leaders say the people who will suffer the most are those who are already struggling. Angeline McCall reports.
Food banks across the Denver metro concerned about potential grocery store costs rising with President Trump's tariff plan.
So when grocery costs go up, the first thing that happens is we see more need. We've already seen that.
Dana Scott, executive director at nonprofit Broomfield Fish, says they saw an 11% increase from 2023 to 2024. She worries that percentage will grow with imposed tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Mexico, for instance, is the largest supplier of fruits and vegetables to the United States.
We are very worried about what the future holds for us, especially if prices increase at the grocery stores. We worry because we're worried about donations coming in and people not being able to afford food for their own families, so they're not donating to fish, right?
They already impose limits on certain items, limits they may have to stretch if more people come to their door.
Between October and December, we actually were running a shortage of 40,000 pounds of food, which means we had to dip into our reserves. So the food that comes in is not staying. It's going out within a month.
If prices go up, it will also mean less purchasing power to supplement what donations won't cover. Nonprofits worry it will make people choose between food and other necessities.
I think that's going to create a challenge for our community.
The most impacted will likely be communities of color, those who are low income, and others who are disadvantaged.
I think it's a little scary for folks and a little bit heartbreaking to know that we're kind of playing with prices.
We worry about having enough food for families here so that they can get their nutritional needs met.